All right, it's week 12. It's the game that every year when the schedule comes out, it's the game I look forward to the least. It's the Soldier Field game, Vikings at Bears. I hate these games. I hate everything about them. And for, you know, a lot of years, I hated the result every year because we lost like I don't even know what the number is. I mean, we won there, from like 2001 to like 2019. I think we won twice, maybe three times. It was just a horror show, and a lot of those games were this kind of thing where I think we're 4 games better than the Bears right now. Um, you know, we look like we're maybe not steaming towards the playoffs, but casually strolling towards the playoffs, and the Bears are very much not. And but then we go in there and kick a game away, with dumb shit usually to often to just a horrible quarterback. Um, so here we go again. like this is the last game of we've swept November so far. You know, none of the games have been particularly uh, pleasant to watch. Um, you know, I think this is just kind of what this team is. I think this is just what they're going to be. They're going to be just kind of a muck it up and grind it out type of team. But I will say that kind of fits what the Soldier Field games always are, because those games are always kind of disgusting anyway. Um, you know, the Bears obviously they started, uh, I believe 4-2, and ever since that Hail Mary, the infamous Hail Mary against Washington, they've just collapsed. Obviously, they should have they should have beaten the Packers last week. They they absolutely blew it. I have no idea why they sat on the ball and conceded a very long field goal, which was then blocked. Maybe if it was 15 yards closer, it might have been blocked too. But you know, they had a chance to beat Green Bay, blew it, and I mean they're falling out of it. I mean they're not really in contention anymore, but that doesn't mean they can't spring an upset or two. Um, and they did play a little better last week. I believe they fired their offensive coordinator. Obviously, their head coach is probably gone after the year. Um, but they did play a tick better last week, so that's a little concerning from our standpoint. Um, Although maybe it's not. Maybe we'd be worse off if the Bears were still just absolute getting just crushed every week. But yeah, I mean it's I expect more of the same. I expect another Soldier Field Vikings Bears game. They're all like this. Even the ones we have won now in recent years, none of them have been particularly entertaining. I'm trying to remember which one the one last year was. I think last year was the one where we got like a didn't we get like a fumble return touchdown to help us out? I think that was still when Kirk was healthy. Um, but yeah, I expect something very similar. Going in pretty healthy. Josh Oliver's out, and he's been very productive. But I think obviously we've got T.J. Hawkinson. That'll probably just mean he'll get a larger percentage of the snaps, and that's not a bad thing. Um, Surprising news today: they released a Caleb Evans. So there goes another 2022 draft pick. You know, so all the Quasey haters are getting to do their victory laps today because it's another 2022 draft pick in the secondary. Is gone. And yeah, I mean, there's no defending that draft. It was a terrible draft. We've gotten a little bit of production from some of the later picks, but you used 3 early picks or early-ish picks on guys for the secondary, and they all flopped. It's like give him a little bit of a break because that would he was drafting for Ed Donatel. And sort of in Ed Donatel news, Daniel Jones got released this week. Um, you know, incredible. Less than 2 years after Ed Donatel's lazy ass let that motherfucker come into US Bank Stadium and end that fucking fun season. I hate that guy so much. I hate Ed Donatel. I actually think Daniel Jones could be a pretty good, and other people have talked about this. I think he could be a pretty decent backup QB option for the Vikings next year, assuming we let Darnold walk and roll with McCarthy. I wouldn't be opposed to it. And anyone who's not opposed to it, well, what are you seeing? What are you not seeing this year? They've taken a infamous first round bust QB and have turned him into something pretty solid, most of the time, and we're going to the playoffs with him. So why couldn't the KOC teachings help Daniel Jones kind of resurrect his career? I don't think he's gonna go back to being a starter or anything like that, but you need a backup quarterback. I still don't like the Nick Mullins of it all. I wouldn't be opposed. They picked him up now. Throw him out there as a QB2 or even a QB3, but I don't think that'll happen. Maybe next year. I know what's not going to happen. I might as well. I thought of doing a video just to rant and get pissed off about it. People are really talking seriously. I don't think it's 100% joking. There are people really talking about Aaron Rodgers to the Vikings next year because it's obviously flopped in New York. He's done. There's even reports out now that he's not even going to finish the season. I hope that does happen because I called that once stuff went bad, he wasn't going to even finish the season. I assumed it would be just something like he'd fake an injury or something like that. There's 0.00000 chance that Aaron Rodgers is playing for the Minnesota Vikings next year. Why would they even want him? Why would they want him? He's a washed up diva. He's not even any good. People bring up Brett Favre. 2008 Brett Favre was still a very capable quarterback. He just had an injury thing that kind of screwed up their season, or they probably ends up staying with the Jets. And we never get him. But he was still a more than capable quarterback. Aaron Rodgers hasn't been good 3 years. He was bad the last year in Green Bay. I don't think even if he doesn't get hurt right away last year that he's going to do much for the Jets last year. And this year he's been terrible. He's gotten the coach fired. He's gotten the GM fired. He's forced them to trade for Devontae Adams and bring in all these other guys who are his guys. Hasn't worked. That was the Jets picking up Aaron Rodgers and just devoting their entire franchise to him. That's one of the worst decisions in the history of the National Football League in terms of the fallout. And there are people who think the Vikings are going to want that. Why would they want him? I would overpay Sam Darnold before I would bring in Aaron Rodgers. I would overpay a lot of these guys. I'd rather have Daniel Jones as a reclamation project, And obviously we've got McCarthy, who's all plans are that they're gonna roll with him next year. What, you're going to bring in Aaron Rodgers to mentor J.J. McCarthy? I don't want anybody learning any lessons from that asshole. I don't know. I think some people are just doing it as it's the easy joke of Packers quarterback goes to the Jets and then he's going to go to the Vikings. It's a lame joke. It was tired the day that Aaron Rodgers first signed with the Jets or was traded to the Jets. But he's not coming here. He's not ever coming here. I don't know who the quarterback for sure is going to be next year. Obviously McCarthy's going to be here. I presume he's going to be the guy. And we're going to have a backup. I don't know if we're going to just roll with Mullins or if they're going to bring in somebody else. But it ain't going to be Aaron Rodgers. So stop making the joke. It's annoying. But anyway, back to the Bears. Yeah, I think this will be a muck it up type of game, but I think we'll win. I think we'll win because you know what? We have a lot of experience this month winning these kinds of games. Obviously, there's the concern that Caleb Williams, who kind of looking pretty good early, now he's looking less so. I mean, I think I'm not going to be one of these people who are like, oh, Caleb Williams is going to be a bust. Just like I wouldn't have been like, oh, he's going to be unbelievable. It's a rookie quarterback. No one has the patience. for these rookie quarterbacks to, some of them look very good, like Jane Daniels. Bo Nix has kind of started to light it up a little bit. Some of these guys could be good. Not all of them. It will be fun. You got to admit, it's going to be pretty damn funny if, the Bears use the number one pick for Caleb Williams and he ends up being worse than like 3 or 4 guys drafted after him. Maybe even our guy. Maybe even J.J. McCarthy will be very good. Obviously, we don't have a whole lot of sample size. The little bit we saw in the preseason looked very promising, but I'm incredibly nervous about the fact that he's had to have a second procedure already on the knee. Like, I'm worried he's going to be like one of those guys. But there's always the possibility that Caleb Williams has a big game. I would hope Brian. Obviously our defense has been very resurgent, facing this weaker competition this month. Brian Flores against a rookie quarterback, that's hopefully very much in our favor. Hopefully we can get some turnovers, help out the offense. Hopefully we had a bit of a resurgence from Sam Darnold last week. He was good. 1 turnover that I don't put on him. Very efficient with the ball, very, very good. Very decisive. He had a good game. Hopefully he has another good game. We need, what was it, like 95% to make the playoffs? We've seen Vikings teams that look like they were borderline shoe-in for the playoffs fall apart. And everybody thought when we were 5-0 and then we lost the 2 out of the bye this year that, oh, here we go. But now we have rebounded. Still have a pretty damn favorable schedule. We got 4 home games in December. We've even got that week 18 game at Detroit. That might not mean anything for the Lions. They might not even care about that game. So, it's all in front of us. I would obviously be very shocked if this team fell out of the playoffs. But we got to keep winning. We really, really, really want to get that top wild card. If we don't win the division, and I still think winning that division is really going to be hard because if it comes to it and week 18 matters for both teams, then you have to win at Detroit when it matters for the Lions, and that's going to be really, really hard. And we got to gain ground somewhere in there. Lions do have a couple of kind of tough games left. I know they got to play the Bills, I'm very, very much focused in on just getting that top wild card, because then you get to play. Obviously, I wish we could play a home playoff game, but if you get to play a road game, possibly against Kirk, or against whoever wins the NFC West, you can pull off a win there, and then hey, honestly, I don't feel a lot of pressure with this season. I feel like we've already won more games than I thought we'd win all year. I don't see this as unless this defense just is really in lockdown mode in January. I don't see this necessarily as a team that can really compete for a Super Bowl. But I'm not really feeling the pressure of that, because it's been a good season, and I think there's still a lot of fun to come. And I don't know. I'm just looking at it a little differently than some seasons where like the pressure is always on. Like, oh my God, we got to do it. Like I just don't see it that way this year. But get the playoffs, get that wild card. Washington's fallen off a little bit, so I think we're 2 up on them in the loss column right now. So not sure if they're on the bye this week. I think there's like 6 teams on the bye, but we're fighting obviously with Green Bay. Green Bay is getting so much fucking luck this year. It's unbelievable. Obviously they have the thing last week. Now they get to play the 49ers, their nemesis. They get to play them without Bosa or Purdy. I had to even look up who their backup quarterback is. Brandon Allen, who Vikings fans know because he was that out of nowhere starter for Denver in the game, already 5 years ago, where we had the 20-point comeback in the second half. The Kirk Gatorade meme was born. that was Brandon Allen was the quarterback for for Denver that day. Um, and he's bounced around since then, and now he's the 49ers backup. How do the 49ers not learn that you need to have a backup quarterback of some quality when they literally lost a trip to the Super Bowl probably because they didn't have a backup quarterback? They could use Sam Darnold right now, I can tell you that. So Green Bay's probably going to win again. Green Bay is just as fraudulent as I thought the Lions were last year. I think the Packers are even more fraudulent this year. Um, and hopefully they'll get their comeuppance. Hopefully the Lions will get their comeuppance too. But um, it's very annoying seeing the Packers getting all these breaks. But that means we just got to keep winning. We still get them here, second to last week of the season, and we would have a chance to sweep them and then kind of put them in our rear view. But we gotta, I would really like to get that top wild card, and you got to keep winning. And we can keep piling up these wins here. Just get done with this muck game in Soldier Field and just keep this thing going. And I've talked way too long for a preview video, so I'm going to wrap this up. I got off too many tangents today. Yeah, so for this game, I expect a muck. I expect a classic Vikings game at Soldier Field. It's going to be just like the last few weeks. We're all going to be annoyed that they probably should be winning by more, but they're not. Hopefully we don't have the turnover situation going against us, and hopefully we get some off of Caleb Williams. I do think the Vikings win, 20-16 type of thing, 23-20, some muck type of game. And that would put us at 9-2, and then we come home for September. I wish it was September, it'd be a lot warmer. December home games that are also very winnable, and keep this thing going. At least try to keep the pressure on the Lions. Make them have to keep winning. I think they're at the Colts this week, so that's probably another pretty easy win for them. At least keep that tiny possibility that, hey, if something happens, maybe we can catch Detroit for the division. I'm trying to be the realistic guy, who sees this as, it's top wild card. Get that. You can win a road game against an inferior team that wins a bad division, possibly against a former friend at quarterback. We'll see what happens there. And of course, we're 2 weeks away from that game, where he'll be back. That'll be a wild game. So yeah, 27. I give like multiple scores every game. I'll stick to 23-20 Vikings, and we'll go 9-2 and put the Bears even more into the pit of misery.